The summer heat in Albuquerque was merciless that afternoon. Waves of warmth shimmered off the pavement, and the sun cast sharp shadows across the storefronts near San Mateo Boulevard. It was a typical Saturday. Kids whining for candy in line at checkout counters, parents comparing prices, older folks slowly pushing carts through the aisles of the Mezquite Market. No one suspected that within minutes, this ordinary afternoon would turn into a war zone. Mark Peter had been on the run for 2 months, 41 years old. With a face worn by time and addiction, he was no stranger to the Albuquerque police. His record was long. Drug trafficking, illegal possession of firearms, resisting arrest, a familiar face in mugshots and databases. In April of that year, police had found him passed out in his car. Inside, a loaded weapon and a stash of narcotics. Since then, he'd vanished. Some believed he was still in the city, laying low, changing cars, switching motels, but no one had seen him until that day. The car was parked quietly outside an auto zone near the Mezquite Market. The windows were slightly cracked, the engine silent. Slumped in the driver's seat was a man who looked like he'd been asleep for hours, or maybe days. Officers ran the plates. The name that came back was one they'd memorized by now, Mark Peter. The officers didn't rush in with sirens or guns drawn. They wanted him alive. They surrounded the vehicle slowly, calmly. One of them spoke through a loudspeaker. "Mark, come out of the car. Hands where we can see them." No response, just stillness. Another call. Another moment of silence. Then, without warning, Mark's head jerked up. His eyes, bloodshot and wide, darted around. He looked at the officers, at the exits, at the steering wheel. Then, like a cornered animal, he slammed his foot on the gas, but the officers had been prepared. In seconds, the tires were shot, shredded into rubber confetti. The car screeched forward only a few feet before Mark kicked the door open and ran. His shirt clung to his back, and in his waistband, a pistol, fully loaded. He darted across the parking lot. People stepped back, confused. A few screamed. Most didn't even realize what was happening until he crashed through the glass doors of the Mezquite Market. Inside, a woman was checking out with her children. An elderly man was counting coins at the register. Music played softly through the speakers. Something upbeat, something completely at odds with what was about to happen. Then came the shouting, "Get down! Everyone get down!" 2 officers stormed in after him, their weapons drawn but not fired. They didn't want to hurt anyone, especially not in a place like this with families crouching behind produce stands and deli counters. One officer fired a taser, a flash, a buzz. Mark twitched, but kept running, weaving between aisles. And then he stopped. He turned. He reached for the gun. What followed was a second of silence so loud it hurt. Then the first shot rang out. Mark fired once, then again. 13 rounds in total, echoing off tiles and metal shelves. People screamed, glass shattered, a cereal box exploded. Officers took cover, then returned fire. 45 shots in response, each one aimed with desperate precision. When it ended, the market was eerily quiet. The music had stopped. Smoke lingered in the air. Someone was crying. Another whispered, "Is it over?" Mark Peter lay motionless near the meat aisle, his pistol inches from his hand. His shirt was soaked in blood. Officers moved in carefully. Paramedics arrived within minutes, but there was nothing they could do. He was gone. Later, the police would call it a miracle. that in the chaos of nearly 60 bullets flying through a public grocery store, not a single shopper had been injured. Not even a scratch. Just one man dead. One man who had spent years running, surviving on the edge of paranoia and addiction, making choices that led him to this moment. In his pocket, they found a folded piece of paper. On it, written in shaky, barely legible handwriting, were the words, "I just want one more day to live." No one knows when he wrote that, but it was clear. For Mark Peter, that day came, and it ended with silence, sirens, and a blood-stained grocery aisle.